What's up, Anchor Peeps? ANCHORPETE here. I'm with my beautiful wife, Shari T, who's drinking a Polar Pop. And today, we are here to discuss the movie Promising Young Woman. The movie stars Carey Mulligan, and she plays Cassie. She is the main character in the movie. And then there are a bunch of little cameo appearances throughout this movie. I think when we go into spoilers, we'll mention some of the cameo appearances.
Yeah.
Shari, do you want to give us a brief back-of-the-box synopsis?
Okay, so this movie is, without giving any spoilers away for those of you who don't want to hear them, this movie is kind of like a vigilante justice movie. Something major happened to this character, to Cassie, 7 years prior, and she spends the entire movie kind of trying to rectify or get justice for that incident.
I'm guessing you guys have seen the trailer, at least. Maybe you've even seen the movie. But in the trailer, so we're not spoiling anything, you can see that Cassie pretends to be drunk in bars or in clubs. And then men take advantage of that. They take her home or to their apartments, and then she shows them that she's actually sober. And it's like this jarring moment. And that's right in the trailer, so we're not spoiling anything there. But what happens after she says that she is sober and why she does it, we're not going to reveal until spoilers. So, just right off the bat, Shari, I'm really glad that you said it is like a vigilante movie because it very much is like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now let's watch Shari's facial expression as I say that I actually think it reminded me of a superhero movie, honestly.
Well, why? Because some of them get vigilante justice?
Yeah, many superheroes are vigilantes, and to me, it felt like you said, like a vigilante movie, which I could kind of list a few of those right here.
Mm-hmm.
But then also kind of like overlapping, there's comic book superhero movies where the superheroes are vigilantes, like Batman and things like that, where they almost have like this persona that they put on, and they are doing this because they're motivated by revenge, right?
Right.
Shari, you just saw this movie recently. Did you like it?
I liked it a lot, yes. Okay, so there's a famous quote by Margaret Atwood that says, she asked a male friend, and I'm paraphrasing, this is probably not like exact quote, but it's similar. You can look it up on the internet. But like she asked the male friend, why would you be threatened by a woman? And the man says, because men are afraid women will laugh at them. And then she, on the flip side, asked a group of women, why would you be afraid of a man? And they said, because a man can kill me. And I don't know if that's the basis for Emerald Fennell, who's the writer-director, if that's the basis for this movie, but it might as well be, because that's very much what this movie is about, what women have to fear from men and what men take from women, and how that's been allowed in our society for a long time.
Yeah.
So, like, a really important message, I think.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that Margaret Atwood quote, too, and I agree. That does have a lot to do with this movie. It's sort of like the male perception and the female perception. What is dangerous to a woman? What is acceptable for a man to do? And like what can be done to a woman that is considered acceptable? That's a big part of this movie. I'm really glad that you brought up Emerald Fennell because I did some research. I saw that she was the showrunner for season 2 of Killing Eve. And Shari and I were big fans of Killing Eve, but we have noticed that the quality's gone down per season. But season 2 is pretty good still, and it reminded me a lot of Killing Eve. Like this main character, in a couple of ways, reminded me of Villanelle, the main character.
Absolutely.
I think Carey Mulligan does a fantastic job as this character who's been wronged and can see the flaws in society. You're like right on board with her.
I think Carey Mulligan's performance is Oscar contender worthy. I don't know if she's the best female performance I saw this year, but I hope she's nominated for sure.
Okay. I agree with that too.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I wanted to say I really noticed about this movie is the way it was colored. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everything's very girly and feminine, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Virgin Suicides, but I feel like this could have been like a sister movie to it, even though the tone is different. This is modern. That takes place in the 70s. That movie also is very girly. They show a lot of things that girls love. There's ribbons in the hair. There's flowers on your blouse. There's tons of pink everywhere. There's putting on lipstick and makeup. I just took my 10-year-old daughter to Claire's. There's, they show earrings and just things like that are relatable to girls writing in notebooks with their colorful pens. And I think a lot of to me, that spoke to me because that's just what girls are into when they're growing up and when they're young. And I really liked those details. I think those kind of details are what will make this movie kind of a classic. I think this movie is going to be remembered for a long time and copied.
And then also, I just think, like, for a directorial debut, there's this great blending of the music and imagery. The movie starts out with this great little montage, and the music is great. And it has...
Are you talking about the opening scene with the men dancing?
Yeah.
I loved that. I right away was pleased. It was so, like, kind of funny and sharp and mean, kind of, but it just, like, set the tone right away. And by the way, this is all female soundtrack.
Oh, cool. So let's go into spoilers right now so that we can talk about these things in detail. Okay, so we're going into the spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, then you can just wait until it's on video on demand if you don't want to go to a movie theater. So anyway, right in the very beginning, there's a scene in the club, and it's funny because the opening shot of the movie is just a bunch of, like, men's crotches essentially dancing, and it reminded me of, like, when I was in my early 20s or so going to clubs, and I just was kind of embarrassed for these men in this movie. And
right. The female form is so beautiful, and this movie, this opening scene, like, accentuates, kind of all these dumpy men and their button-down shirts. I mean, it's not like these chiseled guys, And I worked in the tech world, and it appears to be what it is, some sort of tech guys party.
Yeah, and the guys have pretty shitty attitudes. The first sequence has this guy, the guy from. What do you call it? The OC, right? He was like the comic book guy.
Yeah.
But every movie I've noticed he's been in, he's been kind of an asshole.
Well, Ready or Not, he kind of ends up being a good guy.
Oh, that's right. But he's from a family of assholes. Spoiler for Ready or Not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's that actor? Adam
Brody.
Adam Brody. So Adam Brody, that kind of bothered me too because he seemed like a nice guy at first. Like he seemed like he cared about Carey Mulligan, but then turns out he was just a dick. Like pretty much almost all the men in this movie. I think every single guy in this movie is.
With the exception of Alfred Molina and her father.
Yeah, the older men are better, but even they have little bits. So okay. So I said before, there's tons of cameos in this movie. So like you said, we said Alfred Molina's in it. Clancy Brown is in it, which is kind of funny because for my first two movies that I saw in 2021, both of them were with Clancy Brown. So the Mortuary Collection and this movie.
Yeah, he plays her father in the film, and Jennifer Coolidge is her mother. And Jennifer Coolidge is usually very funny, but not really here. They're kind of more serious, and they're worried about their daughter, who has just turned 30 and is living with them.
Yeah.
And they're wondering what happened. She was in medical school. And a spoiler about the situation. The whole thing she's trying to get revenge about is that she was best friends with a girl named Nina since they were 4 years old. And they grew up together, were super close. Oh, yeah, and they wear those best friends necklaces. I love those. My daughter Pepper just bought those. When they were in medical school together, her friend Nina got really blackout drunk and at a party, and a guy raped her and all in front of all of his friends, and they filmed it. And the friend was never the same after that, dropped out of medical school, and Nina also dropped out to take care of her friend, who apparently was like a sister to her. So they don't tell you this until the end of the movie, but the friend is dead, and they don't say how. To me, it's implied maybe suicide.
Yeah. Like
she just couldn't get her life back together after this tragic incident, and Carey Mulligan spends the movie and apparently her own life trying to get revenge for this horrible incident that happened to her friend.
Yeah, and it's good because I'm always complaining about exposition dumps, but all this stuff that Shari just said, you're just learning slowly and steadily, and some things are not even outright said. Like just how we said, we didn't know how Nina died. It's just kind of implied, that she hasn't been around. That we know that she's dead, and throughout the course of the movie, you meet people that were from the past, from this medical school time. And here's some more cameos. You have Alison Brie, who was a friend that Carey Mulligan had in medical school, and then you have what's
Alfred Molina.
Well, Alfred Molina, yeah, but
Connie Britton is the dean who let the guy with the charges drop and didn't really look into it because she didn't want to ruin a young man's life.
Yeah, Molly Shannon is the mom, is Nina's mom.
What did you think of what she does to the guys that she lets take her home?
Yeah, well, that's I was wondering about that too because she has her book where she's making all of her dashes, right? And I felt like, talking about things that aren't said, you don't ever really see the end result of those situations, except for with McLovin, right?
Yeah, she just walks out on him.
Yeah. And I feel bad, to call Christopher Mintz-Plasse or whatever the hell his name is, McLovin, but that's what we all know him as. And he's in the trailer too. But essentially she just, kind of tells him off and then leaves.
I think that's what she does. Like, that's what's implied. I mean, she never hurts anyone in the film. She just scares everyone. She's very scary, right? She, some construction workers catcall her in the street and she just stares at them and they get kind of freaked out and call her some names, but then they turn away. They're, like, no one's attracted to her after she, like, gives them these cold stares and some, like, really well-placed jabs. There's a scene where a driver, like, is yelling at her and she gets out and just calmly bashes in his lights in his windshield.
Yeah.
And like I said, she's kind of scary without having to do a whole lot. In fact, that's the most violent she really gets.
Since we're in spoilers, the very end of the movie is where you see, like, true violence occur. And so she goes to the bachelor party of the guy that date raped her friend, right? And she's able to pour alcohol down the throats of all the guys there by pretending to be a stripper. And she's able to get alone with Al Monroe, the main perpetrator, right?
Yeah.
And so you're wondering, what is she going to do? Well, her plan is to carve Nina's name onto the guy, but he's able to break free and he suffocates her with a pillow, right?
Right. There's a pretty long, it felt long at least, suffocation scene in which he eventually kills her, our main character. And that was so hard to watch. I thought. I was, like, just upset. Like, they don't really show much except a body kind of flailing.
Yeah.
But it was pretty horrific, like some of the sounds. This isn't a horror movie, but man, that was borderline.
It's a harsh ending. In that moment, you're like, oh, wow, they're killing the main character, And she gets her revenge from beyond the grave because, she sets up a tape that, will expose him and expose her plan. And essentially, her murder is uncovered. And, we talked about the colors before. They go and they burn her body in the woods, and you see her fingernails, like, in the stream as her body's burning. And that was just this great moment. I think that Emerald Fennell did a great job with this first movie of hers.
Yeah. I've heard some controversy about the ending, that people didn't like that. I wasn't super happy about it either, but I do think it fits because, like I said, this is a woman who's, like, given her life to this revenge. She, like, kind of goes to this situation knowing she might die.
Yeah.
That's why she planned all these tapes. And so I think it fits in with her character that she might just go ahead and, like, give her life to this cause, or this thing that she cares about so much. They also, like, start playing Angel of the Morning, which to me is one of my all-time favorite songs. And if you, like, add that, it's always an impactful song to me. They played that at the end, which I loved.
Yeah.
When her texts start dinging the ex-boyfriend.
Scheduled texts.
Yeah, they start playing that. I thought it was really good. It's just, like, there's so many great details about this movie. That's why I think it's special, and especially for a first film, really good.
Yeah, it's a shame that it got hijacked because of COVID, but hopefully it'll get some attention now.
Yes,
especially after everyone watches this video, it's going to get thousands and thousands of views. Yeah, so that is it. You know what? Promising Young Woman didn't necessarily make our Snowbound banner, right?
Yeah,
but we just had to talk
more
about
summertime movie.
Yeah, we just had to talk about it because we both liked it so much. But Shari and I are going to bring you some more Snowbound content for the month of January. So make sure you're liking and subscribing your ANCHORPETE videos when you can.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.